What's up guys, this is Ronnie. Welcome back to our channel Total Technology. This is tutorial 6 and today's topic will be on Metaclass in your sorry, I just messed up with the title. Let me finish it over here. So it should be Metaclass in GraphQL or Graphene. So basically I'm using this name Graphene everywhere because in Python you should use Graphene for creating your GraphQL abbreviation or GraphQL query to give the or to integrate with your Python fast API. Okay, so that is why everywhere I use actually this Graphene. Okay, so let me just go ahead with the slide. So first thing we'll learn how to use GraphQL documentation. Okay, and we will also gonna learn uses of Metaclass. So basically in this tutorial we'll be going to learn Metaclass, but to learn or to know how to use Metaclass, we probably need to do some other stuff, that is some sort of GraphQL documentation. So that is actually help us to validate our learning for Metaclass. So if you see here, I have written some sort of statement over here. To validate the statement, we need to go to the GraphQL documentation. GraphQL documentation means not the official documentation. The documentation means if you enable or if you write your GraphQL application, and after that if you run it or execute it, there actually you will see the GraphQL. For example, let me tell you. So this is your grpahql playground kind of a thing, and if you see that something called docs, so that is the documentation thing. So we'll learn how to use that, and that time actually we'll be going to validate our this sort of thing. So that is why we'll just put this thing over here. Okay, so we'll learn everything now. Okay, so this is not going to be any kind of a hands-on or coding tutorial, rather than this is going to be a theoretical concept, purely the GraphQL elements or how to learn those concepts kind of a tutorial. But without knowing this thing, probably it will be difficult for you to do some sort of advanced or intermediate sort of things in your project, or more or less this is going to be help you to do proper documentation. For example, you have written multiple schemas, or sorry, you are going to build a very complex nested schema, and inside the schema you are going to have multiple fields type, and there probably you are going to have thousands or millions of resolver. So to use those thing properly on a structured way and to document everything with a proper description, probably you need to use this sort of Metaclass, and Metaclass with the help of Metaclass everything will be properly populated in the doc section. So that is what we are going to learn. So this is kind of going to be give you kind of help you to become a better programmer, better application developer in terms of maintenance or readability or accountability kind of a thing. Okay, so that is what. So let me just go ahead with the documentation. So first of all, we are going to learn this documentation, but before we learn this documentation, let me just explain this thing. So by default, type name in GraphQL schema will be the same as the class name that defines the object type. Okay, this can be changed by setting the name property on the meta class. So it is saying what, let me explain this thing now. Okay, so first thing first, let me create a tutorial file. So maybe it should be schema dot maybe I think I'm just thinking out loud, do I need this thing? I think I don't need this thing now, because we are going to do the simple thing now. So maybe I can write something from first. So first thing first, let me just import Graphene. Okay, then we'll import from first API import API. Okay, then we'll import from starlet dot grapql import GraphQL app. Sorry, I did a mistake. GraphQL app. So now I'll be going to explain this thing, this first point now. Okay, so let me go ahead here. So become bigger. Okay, so many of you already complained that I should create a bigger screen. Okay, so it should be class, and let's say maybe I can write something like that, my query. Okay, and this is going to be graphene dot object type. Okay, and here maybe I can write something. I'm just thinking what I can write. Maybe I can write hello, and this is going to be graphene dot string, and let me write a resolver. So default resolver resolve. So this is going to be self hyphen info like this, and maybe I can write return hello world, something very small thing. Okay, and we're going to create an application. So app is going to be first API, then I can write app underscore app dot add underscore GraphQL. Then I will write here, I will write, let's say GraphQL app is going to be schema equals to graphene dot schema, and this is going to be query equals to my query, right? My query. Let me print this thing. So I'm not doing anything fancy. Whatever we did in our last tutorial, I'm doing the same thing, but to prove my point, or to prove the fact whatever just now we have seen here in this slide, I need to do it. Okay, just bear with me. Okay, so let me execute this thing, uvcon, then I will be able to explain this thing. Okay, so what is happening? uvcon main app reload could not import module main. What is this? uvcon main app loading could not import module main. What does it mean? I don't know. Okay, so it is inside actually PyCache. I don't know what happened here, why this is actually created inside the PyCache. I don't know. So maybe what I'll do, I'll just go to my GraphQL Python in the tutorial 6. Let me delete this folder maybe, and I don't know, something messed up. Okay, so maybe copy this thing, maybe delete this thing, and after that maybe just create one more file here. So sometimes it happens. See, now it is started. Okay, so if you see here, I just printed my schema over here. Okay, this one. So this is actually this one, my query, and this is of the name of this thing is my query. Okay, this query is query schema, and the type of this thing is my query. And let me just open this thing. By default, the type name in the GraphQL schema will be the same as the class name. So by default, the name of the type is the name of the class. So suppose my class name is my query, the type name is also my query. But what it is saying, this can be changed by setting a name property on the meta class. Okay, so it is saying that I can change this name property from a meta class. Okay, so now if you go here, just refresh this thing. Okay, and write this thing here, and if you just write hello, I'll get in hello world. Okay, and if I just click on this thing, see, it is saying the query name is type name. This is the query, and the type name is my query. I think it's the same of the name of the class. The name of the class is my query, and the type name is also my query. But it is saying that I can change this by setting a meta class. To validate this thing, I need to only check from here. Okay, no other way. So now I'll do that now. How to create a meta class and how to change this name. Okay. So for that purpose, let me just do something over here. So let me think how to do that. Okay. So I believe it is going to be starting from here actually. Okay. So it is going to be class, and then it is going to be meta. So that is why it is meta class. Okay. So now it is saying what it is saying by setting the name property. So how are you going to set this thing? So it is going to be name equals to let's say maybe I can say name, let's say type from meta class. Okay, type from meta class. So meta class, so that name should be changed. This should be changed with this one. Okay, so you cannot use this thing anywhere in the code. We can use it, but it is not advisable. Just to give a proper name, I'm using it, but everywhere it will be going to be accessed by this one. Okay, so all done. Okay, so if you check here now, my name got changed here. See, the type name got changed. See, you can validate thing from here. See, it got changed here. So earlier it was my query, but just because I set this name, it got changed. If you change anything, it will change. See, I make it 1, so it got 1. So just because I am having reload, every time it will reload and run the function or program automatically. And to prove our point from the documentation, so if I go here, if I do a refresh, and after that if you see type from meta class. Okay, and if you click here, now in this thing I have no description. As I told you, we should have a description. So that is what it is going to give you some sort of like understanding that what actually are going to perform. Okay, so for that thing you can use it as well. So that is our next pointer. So the schema description of the object type can be set as a docstring on the Python object or meta inner class. So it is saying the same way you can put a description over here. So description is going to be, I can write description from meta class. So it is here. Okay, now to validate this thing, I'll go here. Okay, so now if I click this thing, I will get a description here. See, I got a description from meta class. So I can change it immediately here. Whatever, description from meta class 1. So if I go here and refresh this thing again, see, description from meta class. So this is nothing fancy, nothing rocket science, but this will help you to explain your like client or your audience or whoever actually going to maintain this program. For example, in every full stack project or every company is going to have 3 phases. First the requirement gathering, then the development, then the maintenance. So once you develop this thing, definitely the developer will be moved from the project, right? Move means probably 1 or 2 developers or only 1% or the 10% of the development team will continue, but remaining will be maintenance or support. So that time probably one developer is going to give some sort of knowledge transfer to the support team. So for that time, for that reason, this is always advisable to use some meaningful name, so that will help the developer to remember everything and explain everything easily. And for the guys, those are actually going to start working on that product for the first time, or this any program which is, or any sort of project which is actually written with Python or GraphQL backend. So for them also it will be easy to understand, okay, this description from that description, that okay, this thing is actually being used for this purpose. Okay, and the good thing is that if you see here, all these fields are actually listed down over here. So for example, I can put another thing over here, hello, then I can put by, something like that, and that is going to be graphene dot string. Okay, and I can put one more resolver over here. Okay, so that is going to be buy, and maybe I can write goodbye, something like that. And if you go here and if you just refresh this thing, see, I got this thing. Okay, so this is string, this is saying, this is string, this is saying, and if you click here, so it has also no description. You can probably, I don't know whether this is possible or not, but you can change it. Like for example, let me check whether this is also possible to do it or not. Maybe maybe I can check it. Descript, but it was not mentioned in the documentation. Okay, but I'm thinking whether it makes sense to use this thing. Maybe test, I don't know whether this will come or not, or probably I need to give some additional thing. Hopefully this will not come. So maybe refresh this thing, then so it is saying no description. So probably I will find out how to do it. Okay, and hopefully that will help you. Okay, so let me think what else we can do it using Metaclass. Okay, okay, so I think maybe we can try something. So for the description actually, so I can write description here, maybe hello string. Okay, and maybe the same thing I can do for this field. Okay, so maybe I can write by string. So now let's execute this thing. Okay, so these are description. Oh, cool. So see, for hello I got hello string, for by I'm getting by string. So if you click here, you see like this, and if you go back, so what you have to do while defining your field here, like hello and by, so not in the resolver actually, so here you can put the description. So all these things are going to help you to understand in the future from the maintainability, from extensibility, for maybe bookkeeping activities are going to be very easy if you maintain your code in such a way. Like documentation, comment is going to be really helpful, because when you are nowadays, when someone or any company is going to build any application, at least they are going to maintain this for at least 5 to 8 years, and within the 5 to 8 years there will be multiple like teams, multiple guys, multiple engineers are going to work. So every time whenever someone is onboards to that project, for them or for he or she, it is going to be very easy if all this description or other things are already available. So that is why these things are like available for this sort of like framework or GraphQL or any other programming language as well, because documentation creates a good ambience within your project structure. Okay, so enough of talking, guys. I believe our objective of this course is done. So what I'll do, I'll just maybe like this, let me just take a screenshot actually. So maybe like this, just hold on, cause or else I'll forget actually to put this thing here. Okay, so maybe just a new slide, and there probably I can put this thing, picture from file and my documents, and maybe here it will be like this, and source code. Okay, maybe this is something. Okay, so that's it, guys. Okay, so before I close this tutorial, so as I said, like this is the tutorial number 6, and hopefully our next tutorial will be something on the theoretical concept as well, because we have learned something on object type, schema, then resolver, then list, and then mapping between different files. All those sort of things are already done. Okay, and we have also seen how to create a use dynamic data to creating your schema or building your schema, and also it created some sort of dummy weather API as well. So now probably next 2 or 3 tutorials will be on the theoretical concept, and after that we'll be going to dig inside the advanced or intermediate topics. Okay, so while I'm just developing this course structure, I'm still seeking for some sort of advice or feedback from all of you guys that what should be the content. Probably you want something from the materialistic way, or you want something from a more hands-on way. Like materialistic way means you want me to refer to the official documentation of the Graphene and I should go through that and create the tutorial, or probably you want me to create some sort of small use cases like whatever is going to be used in the project. Maybe for example, let me think about, I'm just creating an REST API for, let's say, weather API. I'm just going to build, so maybe I can segregate, or like just let me think that let me create small pieces of that complete project and just take every part and try to map everything with the different aspects of GraphQL and try to create a small tutorial from those use cases and then do it. Or you want to learn it from the materialistic way, like whatever is available in the Graphene, from there I should take a topic and then create a hands-on tutorial, or then should do it. So either way is okay for me, but I'm actually looking for the feedback from all of you. Okay, so try to do that, and last but not least, try to do some sort of practice. If you see, already we are doing some sort of mix and match. We are already started getting into the intermediate or advanced topics. If you don't do practice, then eventually you will forget over that time. Okay, so that is why try to do some sort of practice, and not only just rely on my videos. After watching this video, try to create some use case on your mind, and after that try to implement that. And while doing that, if you face any problem, I'm always one click away. Okay, so we'll see you in the next video very soon. Till then, take care, goodbye, and have a nice day. And hopefully some of you already weekend starts actually in USA for the Labor Day, so for them, happy weekend.